Hi, and welcome back to the Business Corner. I'm your host, Teresa Lundy, and I have the pleasure of sitting down with City Council member at large of the Majority Whip of Philadelphia City Council, Isaiah Thomas. Welcome, Isaiah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's definitely an honor. I appreciate being here.
I've known you for a couple of years.
A long time.
A very long
Don't
time.
age yourself.
And I love the work that you do on City Council. I think you definitely championed from young people to education, and I think that's kind of like what the topic I really want to stick on today is what you've done in the educational space here in the city of Philadelphia. So can you tell us a little bit about that and yourself?
So, first of all, again, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And just to age ourselves, we do go back a very long time when we had different
But we don't
hats
look
and
like it,
different
so.
Black don't crack. I'm a teacher by trade. I still coach high school basketball. I'm the president of the Coaches Association for the Public League. I sit on the board for PIAA District 12, which is the governing body for high school athletics for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. District 12 represents Philadelphia Public League and Catholic League. And so I have a unique lens based on not just my lived experiences as a former teacher, somebody born and raised in the city, going to public schools, but also as somebody who will play, 22 basketball games every season and walk into several different schools and speak with several different athletic directors and, of course, talk to young people and parents all across the city of Philadelphia. So the work that I've done, the work that I do as it relates to the education space is based on that, those lived experiences, that that core communication. And we have some accomplishments that we are essentially proud of. For me, it started during the pandemic. And that was when I was sworn in and we seen situations like we never seen before. So I was happy to work with then Mayor Jim Kinney, as well as the leaders at the school board, to put us in a position to be able to save athletics for public league. That's probably my biggest accomplishment, is that during the pandemic, when all the sports were going to be canceled for the whole city, we worked together with the health department to come up with a plan to be able to allow young people to safely participate in athletics, and I think we did a great job.
Yeah.
Right. And that, in turn, I think really put us in a position whereas though, during the pandemic, a lot of businesses closed and didn't come back. We're at the Ritz right now, and we know just all around us, there were businesses that closed during the pandemic and didn't return. I would have hated for that narrative to be the narrative that followed our public league and sports there. So I always start there. When you're talking about funding for education, we've been on the forefront of fighting for dollars, not just for operating costs, but for capital costs as well, too. So we've worked closely with the district to help put together a comprehensive plan around issues related to facilities. We've also worked with the different unions to help advocate for a fair contract and fair wage, and that's something that's been a significant issue in the space of public education. And of course, there's the talk around climate, culture, and curriculum. So we visit schools all across the city to assess what's going on in the schools. We do voter registration-based initiatives with the seniors in high school, but we also work with the administrators, the leaders of the schools, to try to figure out what resources and support systems they need and how can we come to the forefront of helping make sure that every child has a quality education. So when you're talking about the renovations at Frankfurt High School, we're very proud to be a part of the advocacy effort around that. And my alma mater, Frankfurt, is now open back up. So that's always amazing when you see those type of success stories. The renovations that happened at Lincoln High School, based on the overcrowding and the population there, we're very happy to work with the district as well as the admin and put us in a position to address some of the overcrowding issues that were taking place there and some of the capital needs that we were able to address. But overall, and I can keep going.
Yeah, I was going to say, the list goes on. So it sounds like,
but we still got a lot more work to do.
Yeah.
I think that's the alarming part about it is that, we want to put ourselves in a position whereas though no matter what neighborhood a child lives in, they have access to a quality education. And unfortunately, we're still not there yet.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that people need to know is that you don't just represent a single district. You're an at-large council person, right? So that means you are in Northeast, you're in North Philly, in West Philly. And so tell people what it means to be the majority whip at Philadelphia City Council.
Sure. So I think first and foremost, just understanding the dynamics of City Council, 17 members of our legislative body, as you mentioned. We have 10 districts, each one represented by one council member. Then we have 7 at-large seats. And for us, our leadership team regime consists of 4 people on the majority side and 2 people on the minority side. So on the majority side, I am the whip on City Council, and we start with our council president, then our majority leader, and then our majority whip. And so for me, as a council member at large, I always try to focus on big picture systemic issues. We talked about public education. We do a lot around taxes, the economy, advocating for different industries, supports for industries. I can go on and on and on. But as the whip, basically what I'm doing is a vote count. That's really what it is. It's about seeing where people are on a particular bill, especially things that are controversial, and supporting the members and trying to get their legislation across the finish line. And we've had some controversial stuff during my time in city council. I'm sworn in 2020. Probably more controversial stuff over the last 2 years than what we had over the first 4 years. But again, just being able to have that litmus test, to be able to assess where members are, how they feel about a particular bill, and what we need to do in order to move whatever agenda it is that need to be moved to better serve the citizens of Philadelphia.
In 2026, there is going to be a whole bunch of things that are happening in this city. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, 2026, this is the year, right? We've been doing a lot to prepare for 2026. It's not just about the celebration of the country, happy birthday to the country, but it's also about all of the amazing events that's going to happen. Philadelphia is a city that we call a city of eds, meds, and beds. And we know a lot about our academic institutions, our amazing universities. Of course, we know that we're one of the major cities in the entire world as it relates to healthcare, but hospitality is a big part of what we do in the city of Philadelphia. So to be in a position to have so many major events happening in our city this year, it's a year that is historic. The private sector, we anticipate there being over $70 million coming to Philadelphia just during a short period of time. Over $70 million.
Okay, great.
$70 million
Make sure everybody heard that.
to the private sector, just the private sector, over just a short amount of time. So that's just about a 6 to 8 week timeline that's going to be this summer, where we're expecting $70 million to go to the private sector. And of course, government would love our share of that $70 million. But we're talking about more than that. And so when you're looking at Major League Baseball All-Star Game, when you're looking at FIFA, when you're looking at PGA, March Madness, concerts, other conventions, the city is poised to generate a lot of revenue, but also, I think more important than the revenue, we are poised to put ourselves in a position to rebrand ourselves. Not that the brand that we have is bad, but what you have to recognize is that there are going to be hundreds of thousands of people visiting Philadelphia for the first time ever.
Yeah.
And we don't want it to be their last time. So we want to make sure that we're great hosts. We want to make sure that people have phenomenal experiences, whether it's our great institutions as far as our museums and our culture establishments, or our amazing restaurant scene, or what we're trying to do to improve our nightlife scene. We want people to say, I had a great time in Philadelphia and I'm coming back. And that's what we have the opportunity to do. So for me, 2026 is a great year, but if we get it right, it's about 2026 and beyond. And that's how we've been talking about 2026 and beyond. So there are 5 industries in the city of Philadelphia that we're really focused on when we talk about 2026 and beyond. So, clearly sports is one, with all the athletic events that's going to be happening. We want to make sure we stay attractive to that industry. Film is a big industry. If you're looking at what New Jersey is doing and what's happening around tax credits, and we got to catch up, right? So that's a big thing. The music industry, what's being done around Philly being the original music city. We want to continue to promote that branding and encourage people to do their music business here in Philadelphia. Gaming and technology is a big one, right? We know what direction we're going in as it relates to the future of employment and the future of business, and of course, arts and culture. And I know my folks in the fashion industry are also very passionate about their advocacy to become more of a fashion city as well, too. So these industries are really begging for a lifeline. And this year, 2026, is our opportunity to not just give them a lifeline for this year, but to become a home for these industries. So a young person growing up who wants to be in film, they don't have to go to Hollywood or New Jersey. A young person growing up that want to be in music, they don't have to go to New York or Atlanta, right? We want
Come right here to Philly.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the
And
goal.
I think Philly's well equipped to handle all of these things. That we have some really successful leadership.
We do.
From our first African American woman mayor to our first woman sheriff. There's so many great leaders that are really hitting the path running. And I want to take you beyond. I think you spoke about that earlier, beyond 2026. What are some of those priorities that you feel are maybe like the advocacy issues that you've heard from constituents that they said, hey, I want more of this, or can we do better at this?
We have systemic problems in Philadelphia, whether we're talking about SEPTA, public education, right? These things need funding. And the reality is in order to get funding for these systemic problems, we need more revenue. Well, how do you increase the size of the pie? How do you gather more revenue for the city of Philadelphia without increasing taxes for people or for businesses? Because who wants to pay more in taxes?
That's the big question, yeah.
Well, you need more people. You need more businesses. You have to grow the base. You have to grow the pie. So when we talk about 2026 and beyond, it's what are we doing to attract people and businesses to relocate, or even in some cases to stay in the city of Philadelphia. So in the past, I've been a strong advocate for changing our tax structure. When you look at something like, a communications firm, you love Philadelphia. You're, this is part of your DNA, but everybody doesn't feel that way. A lot of people who have the type of businesses and the type of entrepreneurs that you are, they'll look at their bottom line and they'll say, okay, well, I can still go to an Eagles game, enjoy a concert at the Dell, and see a play at the Kimmel Center. But I can relocate my business right outside of Philadelphia if I don't need Philadelphia foot traffic and pay a lot less in taxes. Pre-COVID, right? You can gamble,
right?
But post-COVID, COVID showed people that they can work from anywhere. So we have to respect that, and we have to become a lot more competitive as it relates to attracting people and businesses to the city of Philadelphia, because that's the only way the pie is going to grow. So when you talk about 2026 and beyond, that's what I would like to see. I would like to see us invest in different industries to put us in a position to attract more businesses to come to Philadelphia. We have to become much more competitive. Not just with cities like Boston and New York and Baltimore. Like, look, I get that, but they're not our competition right now.
Right.
Our competition is Abington and Conshohocken and Willow Grove and all these places that businesses are choosing to relocate right outside the city of Philadelphia, but still enjoy the culture and the DNA of the city. That's what I'm fighting against, and that has to change. So in the dream world, 2026 and beyond, beyond looks like more attraction, more attention, more relocation, more love in the city of Philadelphia.
I like that. And talk about the young people when we talk about, we talked about business attraction, but how do we make sure, and I always say, like, you're the king of youth engagement, right? Like from young men to young women, to, like, I'm always seeing you everywhere with young people. So how do we make sure we attract them and keep them engaged, not only in city government, but also what's going on in our city?
I mean, look, you engage with young people too. It's not just me.
Oh yeah, but you're on the spotlight.
Well, true. But in your experience working with young people, I'm sure you can attest to this. There's just this undertone amongst young people that making it is leaving Philly.
Yeah.
So if if I'm going to college and I'm going to Temple, it's like, right? Whereas though when we were growing up, Temple was...
It was popping.
It was Temple.
Yeah.
It was Temple.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it's like, I have to go to somewhere outside of Philadelphia to be considered a success. And that's an issue.
Yeah.
We got to change that narrative. So we do have a higher academia task force. And we understand that colleges and universities are under attack right now. And from a fiscal perspective, we rely a lot on our universities, but from a cultural perspective, we do as well. So the goal is to put us in a position to make sure that with all the uncertainty coming out of DC, with the uncharted territory of NIL and what that's what that's starting to mean to sports, with just the lack of appetite to go to college. I hate to say this publicly, but because I hadn't fact-checked it, but so I don't know if it's fake news or not.
Oh,
but I did see a post on social media where someone said that the unemployment rate for black men with a college degree is the same as for black men without.
Wow.
Which would have never happened for us growing up.
Correct.
But it just speaks to how, not just how the economy has changed, which we talked about earlier, but it also speaks to people having a different appetite and perception of what it means to go to college nowadays. Yeah. And so when you put all those things together, DC stuff, NIL, change of perception as far as higher academia, it puts us in a position where as though our universities could be at risk. So we started the Higher Academia Task Force, and I have to thank the president of St. Joe's as well as the president of Temple for being our co-chairs. And we have over 20 universities who are actively involved, presidents, government relations people, thought leaders. And our goal is to produce a report in the summer of 2026 that makes recommendations to both city and state legislators, executive branches of government, about what we can do to have a comprehensive plan to preserve higher academia for our region. So for me, that's really what I'm doing for our young people, is making sure that, well, of course we want them to choose Philly, but when they do choose Philly, right, that the institutions, which are amazing, continue to give a quality experience to the young people. We're looking for different partnerships with businesses and other initiatives that we can do, not just to encourage them to stay here, but make sure that they can fiscally afford it. Because it's one thing to say stay in Philly, it's another thing to say, well, we're going to help you stay here.
Yeah.
And I think that's our goal. So, I do a lot with the young people, but when I think about your question, the Higher Academia Task Force, I think that's the tangible thing that we have in place right now that's trying to put us in a position to change the entire experience for our students when they graduate from high school.
I love that. And if you were to sell Philadelphia, what advice or what guidance would you give businesses that want to be a part of Philadelphia's fabric?
Yeah, I mean, I have a bias, so the first thing I would say is connect with government. I think it's important. I think it's important that we hear your lived experience as an entrepreneur in the city, recognize what hurdles exist, and we want to try our best to remove them. So my first piece of advice to any business owner is meet with government, connect with government, make sure we know you exist, make sure you understand what our Commerce Department does here in the city of Philadelphia, and know who your local elected officials are.
Yeah.
And what programs and priorities that they have in place that could be mutually beneficial to both parties. Outside of that, the normal networking, those things are always important. But, I'll give a shout out to Regina Hairston. She runs the African American Chamber of Commerce for the region. Yeah. And she tries her best to be a resource for local businesses. So if you're any type of business, Regina is the African American Chamber. Well, we have a diverse chamber. We also have just a general chamber as well. So always encourage folks to connect with their local chamber, because there's always information and resources that are there for new entrepreneurs. And then last but not least is looking to support for startups, right? This idea of investing and supporting in startups. Venture capital firms do a great job of it, but government is starting to step in and get a little appetite for that as well too, because again, we got to incentivize people to be here. Right. For us in Philly, we think about a lot of our, again, local universities. When them young people graduate, we want to make sure that we have different things in place for them to say, you know what, I want to stay in Philly, right? We have some of the best gaming programs. We have some of the best healthcare programs. We have some of the best education programs. Whatever you want to major in, law school, those things are here. But what are we doing to make sure that when those young people get that degree, they stay here? And that's been a big part of my focus. And that's what I try to make sure entrepreneurs understand. Government cares. Philadelphia is open for business.
I love that. Over the weekend, I just saw a woman just open up a hair supply salon right in Northeast, and it was great, right? Lines are down the block,
That's
right?
amazing.
And when we talk about like this fresh new ideas and bringing it to the forefront, I think that we're in the right place. So, Councilman, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Congratulations on all the accomplishments.
Thank you.
Birthday and all that stuff.
Thank you. Thank you.